Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Michelle Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Brad Blazar joining us. He's the founder of Capital School and a global authority on raising capital from high net worth investors. Brad has raised over $2 billion in his career, has closed mega million dollar deals, and now mentors entrepreneurs worldwide to fund their dreams and scale their businesses. We'll explore his founding story, really how Capital School is transforming the capital raising landscape, and what the vision looks like for the future. So with that being said, Brad, welcome to Founders Future.
Great. Thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolute honor having you on the show today. So take us back to the beginning. I know you started your own company, went to raise on billions. Take us back to that spark. What specific gap in the capital raising world, maybe around entrepreneurs struggling to connect with investors, inspired you to actually launch the company?
That's a great question. I spent most of my adult career as a professional capital raiser. It started many years ago at the age of 23 when I effectively launched a small oil company. And we were raising money from investors. That's what allowed me to build and scale the business. Did that for over 10 years. And then when the oil industry went through a change, I decided to close the doors and went to work as a, quote, professional capital raiser for some of the largest companies in the world today. And these companies, of course, manage investment portfolios in the tens of billions of dollars, real estate companies, financial services firms. And when I retired from that space in that industry a few years ago, after writing my very first book, people started to reach out to me to either raise capital or just to work with them as a business consultant. And I would always ask them one question, Michelle. I would always say, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you want to be doing? And everybody I talked to had a dream, like they had something that they wanted to do. They were trying to leave the rat race. They were trying to start a business. They were wanting to get in real estate, whatever it was. And then I would always follow that up with one more question. Why aren't you doing that then? And here's the funny thing. It never came down to the limiting belief or the fear. It always came down to the lack of money. Like they just didn't have the money to get that idea off the ground or to invest in themselves. And so I stepped back and I'm like, my God, I've got all this knowledge. Like I've raised over $2 billion over the course of my career through my efforts and the efforts of teams that I've led. And so I realized that I could become the catalyst to literally help people's dreams become a reality. And we launched our platform a little over 4 years ago. Today, we've expanded globally. I don't know how many countries we're in. I think the last count was like 28. We've obviously created many millionaires and multimillionaires through the use of other people's capital. And it's really become very humbling because what started as an idea has really now become a global movement. And people are calling, people are signing up. We're helping people launch funds. We're helping people get into business that without the investor capital would otherwise not be able to do that.
Incredible. Thank you so much for that synopsis there. Really, you've started financial philanthropy, essentially, in essence, by helping other entrepreneurs out there really start their dreams and finding the means to do so, in essence. With that being said, I'd love to get into the nuts and bolts for our listeners today. As far as like the core offer goes, I know there's like a diverse set of offerings. You probably have coaching programs, there's maybe courses, some mentorship. Primarily, I would love for you to share how do you structure it for your clients, and then who is that set of entrepreneurs that are some of the ideal clients you like to work with?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I do a lot of speaking and just came back from Miami yesterday where was interviewed on the #1 podcast for businesses, the Level Up podcast with Paul Alex. And I think it's rated #2 globally for entrepreneurs, millions of followers. And we were talking about this very thing. And I tell people when I meet them or when I speak on stage that essentially there's 3 ways you can work with me. One, obviously, is having raised well over $2 billion. A lot of people come to me because they're looking for the mentoring or they're looking for the coach that can give them the blueprint and help them with the systems and structure to learn how to attract and raise capital so they can just be doing more in life, or as I like to say, get a seat at the bigger kids' table. The second way that people can also work with me, Michelle, is a lot of people obviously have their own community. They might have a podcast, they might be doing events, they might be a coach. And so the ability to collaborate with other people and obviously do events together is another way that people can choose to partner and work with me. And then the third is people can actually reach out and invest alongside me. I personally, with my partner, we have a fund. We raise capital from individual investors. And then, of course, we aggregate that capital. We go out and we invest in commercial real estate as well as data storage centers. And the returns to the investors are absolutely incredible. And so a lot of times when people hear me speak, they don't need a coach, but they're like, I've got $50,000 in my retirement account that's just earning a measly return.
Right.
And I give it to you so that it now is going to grow much faster and do much better for me. And of course, the answer is, yeah, absolutely. You bet you can. Because here's the thing. There's plenty of successful coaches out there, right? But to sit back as a business owner and say, how can I build $100 million coaching business? There's very few people that have ever done that. Maybe Tony Robbins is like the only one. Certainly people do get to 8 figures, but very few people ever build a $100 million coaching business. But then when I realized with all of the people I get in front of that have capital, I could easily build a $100 million real estate company. I could scale that even to multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. And so, as I like to say, we don't need more money, we need more people, because the people are the ones that give us access to that capital. And of course, with my background in capital raising, I largely look at what I do as a vehicle for that bigger table.
Love that. So as far as it goes, pretty much there's a coaching aspect, and then there's also like a done for you component where you'll work really hands-on with the investors that are interested to allow them to really scale by the aggregating capital so that they can enter the real estate space. And I would love for you to share with our listener, as far as really a bulk of your business, what that revenue driver looks like. Is it more like with the coaching on the clients, or is it more with the done for you where investors want to come in, you aggregate the capital, and then you help them with really scaling and expansion on the real estate side? What does that look like?
So there's really 2 or 3 elements to that. So let me unpack that for you. People need to go through a process to become investor ready. So many people have this dream and desire to go out and raise capital. It's great, let's stop there, but you're not ready yet. You don't have a pitch deck or a presentation. You don't have any of the things that you would need to give to an investor. You don't have any infrastructure to this business, really. So the first thing that we do is we help people go through a process to essentially get what I call investor ready. Right now you're ready, you got all the elements you need, you got your LLC, you got your bank account, you understand investor relations, you understand the legal and the regulatory side of the business. Once they're, quote, investor ready, they can then ascend up to the next level of coaching and mentoring. And that's now where we really do help people, like you said, hands-on. We have a whole team. We have strategic resource partners that can pretty much do anything that's needed. So if you need a pitch deck, we got a whole team that can do that. If you want to launch a fund, we have a complete turnkey offer that will help you do that with 5 different law firms that we've partnered with. If you need things like high net worth investor list, we have another person that we can go to for that. So I like to explain to people that anything you need in the world of attracting and raising capital, we're a one-stop shop. And the thing that sets me apart from pretty much everybody else out there on the planet that's now in this, quote, capital raising, we'll show you how to work with investor lane, is nobody's raised anywhere close to $2 billion. There's plenty of people out there that have coaching and mentoring programs like, oh yeah, we've raised 50 million or I've raised 100 or whatever. But here's the thing. Most all of the money that they've raised has been from individual investors. And at some point, for a lot of people that do become successful at this, they want to get bigger checks. Like they want to learn how to raise capital from family offices or sovereign wealth funds, or build distribution with broker dealers and registered investment advisory firms. because that's really how you can scale your capital raising and take it to a whole nother level. Because if you understand this concept of market to the one to reach the millions, that one small boutique registered investment advisor might have 80 or 120 clients where he's managing a few $100 million. And once that person knows, likes, and trusts you, he might then open up his network and say, hey, Brad, why don't you come in and let's co-host an event together? Let me do the work. I'll get 20 of my affluent clients gathered up. You just come in and you speak for 45 minutes. And then I'll do all the follow-up work after you leave. And I'll ask each of the couples and each of the families, what'd you think about Mr. Blazar's presentation last night? Wasn't that great? Couple A might put in 100, couple B might decide to put in 450, but that 145-minute session could easily be worth $3 million or $5 million. And so these more advanced strategies that I've employed and that I've perfected are what allows me to coach people at all levels. So again, Michelle, it doesn't matter whether you're new or whether you're a little bit more seasoned, we can really help people do pretty much whatever it is they desire, just given my experience and the level of capital that I've actually accumulated and raised over my career.
That's so powerful. And
it's really what differentiates me from most others. It's that primary unique skill of knowing how to build distribution and get into the right rooms and work with the family offices and those really ultra affluent investors that just most other don't know how to do because they've never done it before. I go to about 35 to 40 events a year, all focused on family offices, broker dealers, RIAs. And when I go to these, I look around. I don't see any of my competitors, not a single coach at all that's on social media. So what that tells me is they either just don't know what they don't know, or they just choose not to attend. But I don't think that's it, because if they are raising capital and they want to raise more, why would they not be there? And so I think it's just really a lack of knowledge. And so we tell our community and we tell people that sign up for coaching with me, one of the things we will definitely do is bring you into those same rooms with me where I open up my network, because we know that proximity is power. We want you to connect with those big check writers, and we want you to know the host of these events so that you can then start scaling your capital raising, much like I've done.
Yeah, so there is really a hand-holding aspect to a lot of the work that you do with some of the clients on that front in the engagement.
Absolutely. Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
That's powerful. 3 million. That's a pretty big number. So as far as it goes, let's say a client does join the Capital School. What does that typical engagement length look like? Is it like 3 months on average, 6 months, a year? How is all of that structured?
Yeah, so we tell people based on different levels. You either get more group coaching where there's weekly calls, there's an onboarding platform with videos and links and templates and everything. But the personal one-on-one mentoring and coaching directly with me typically lasts anywhere from 60 to 90 days, which is more than enough time to create the blueprint and to put together the foundation of everything that somebody needs. Then we take them through a process. We take them to the events, we do role playing, we have weekly calls where they can pitch their investment opportunity to a safe audience, which are the rest of our students, to get direct feedback and really perfect their craft. But one of the things that we do provide is lifetime access to both our Facebook group and also our online platform. And the reason that we give them lifetime access is that in the investment industry, especially with raising capital, the regulatory environment is ever changing. Like the SEC could change some of the rules, the government could change something related to raising capital. And I don't want somebody to come through my program today and be told one thing where they're out raising money, and then 2 or 3 years later, the SEC makes a policy change and now they're doing something incorrectly and they get caught. Yeah. So my thought is, by keeping people in our community, when we push out announcements or we put something up in our Facebook group, hopefully they will see it. I can't guarantee that they will, but it's certainly our best attempt to make sure that people always are knowledgeable of the business that they're in once they step into it and make that decision. Hey, I want to raise capital. I want to work with Brad. I want to be part of his community.
I love that. And I kind of want to actually dive a little bit deeper. So, the Facebook group that you have, is that also a lead mag that you have to drive, let's say, a book a call funnel? Building on that, what does your client acquisition process look like as far as generating leads for Capital School?
So we don't really look at the Facebook group at all as a lead magnet. It's really just our community. Once people sign up at one of the various levels, our primary flow of leads really comes from a number of things. Number one, of course, is paid traffic. We're very active on social media. Number two, of course, are speaking events all over the country. I do a lot of public speaking. And so being on stages, people will come up, they'll approach us. Number three, of course, is referral, just word of mouth. People that have had a great successful outcome will tell their friends or other people that they know. And then really the fourth is through that collaboration where I'll partner with somebody else. And so now maybe members of their community that had not been following me or did not really know of me now become aware and now obviously choose to work with us. And so really those are the three biggest elements, or the four, that drive that organic traffic that really are what fuel our business.
Love that. So paid ads, it's one of the things a lot of founders like shy away from as far as using that as like a primary means to generate leads and invest in the forefront to generate clients. What have been the results there with running paid ads, and what's like your funnel as far as, is it like a book call to funnel application? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we have really good return on ad spend, probably a little bit better than the industry average. It really depends on the funnel and what we're trying to accomplish. We obviously do have a few that just drive people to some of the lower ticket offers. Hey, buy Brad's book. It's just $9. We're sending it to you for free. Just pay for the shipping and handling, or get access to Brad's toolkit and get some of the tools and resources he has. Because we really don't focus on the sale. What we really focus on is more the lifetime value of a customer and a client as they become more knowledgeable and as they want to do more with the tools and the resources that they've been given. And so we really focus more on the ascension and the lifetime value with customers that have a pleasurable experience and obviously see success. The other, I think, also is combining that with a number of other things that we do throughout the year. We do a lot of live webinars. We're doing one actually tonight at 6 p.m. We're doing another one on August the 2nd. And then, of course, just the speaking engagements themselves, we do typically 4 live events every year, and we do them in different parts of the country. But at the end of the day, I do understand that a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners try paid ads. And they can be successful. They can also, of course, prove to be unsuccessful. It's really looking at the return on ad spend, understanding what it is you're trying to accomplish. I know a lot of people that are just absolute content machines that pump out a lot of content, and simply because of the visibility, they really don't have to spend any money on ad spend. Just the content becomes somewhat viral, so to speak, and they grow on social media. And because of the number of people that follow them, whether they're YouTube or whether they're Meta or LinkedIn, they really don't have to spend as much money on paid traffic, simply because the content resonates with the community, and people then, of course, move forward and book calls. We do have a lot of our funnels and webinars where really the whole impetus is just book a call.
Yeah.
Get on a call. We're not trying to sell you anything. You're frustrated. It's quite obvious you're trying to do this and you're not successful. You're trying to figure it out. And I call that being over here at point A, and you're trying to get over here, Michelle, to point B. And in the middle of that, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you just don't know. And what happens, I think, with a lot of people is they start doing things that aren't resulting in the outcome they're looking for. And I think that comes down to two things. Number one is they go to Google and they say, how do I do this? That's the wrong question to be asking yourself. What you really want to do is change that question and say, who can show me how to do this? I guarantee someone out there has already done probably what you're wanting to do in the quote business space. So it's who can show me how to do this, and then hire that person as a coach or a mentor. The other thing is what I call randomness in motion. Meaning you're creating activities for yourself every day thinking that you're going to have a successful outcome, but you don't. And the reason you don't is you have no system or structure, or you're just going about doing something the absolute wrong way. For example, if you're trying to raise capital, you might be talking to a lot of people, but nobody might be investing. The reason is you're probably pitching the deal way too early in the relationship, and they're saying, yeah, it sounds interesting, some of the information, but they're just saying that to be polite to you. That's what most people would say if they were presented an opportunity to do something. Yeah, send it, I'll take a look at it, but then they never move forward. And what they're really communicating is, we just met, I don't even know you yet. So once you understand the system and you bring structure, you can bring about a positive change in somebody that you're mentoring. And then, of course, they start seeing the success and the positive results. But we see a lot of people that come to us that are just absolutely frustrated, that are like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm not having any success. And I'm like, I get it. You probably are feeling burnt out, like you just want to give up because you're doing all these things, but you're not getting the results you're looking for. And yeah, we've all heard that. The definition basically, what is it? Is insanity is doing the same thing over and over again with the expectation that you're going to get a different result.
Yeah, 100%. I want to ask, what is your ROAS right now on that book a call funnel? If you can share with our listeners, I'm just curious to learn what that is.
It's about between 6.5% and 7%.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And like as far as it goes with the sales cycle, because like we're talking about that right now, what is the sales cycle like? Say someone does come in through the application. Do you have like setter basically doing a lot of that application grading, and does that go to an account executive or a closer? How is all of that structured on the sales side?
Exactly what you just alluded to. So calls come in, they go into our CRM. We do have setters that are then reaching out, building the relationship, probing, finding out really who's a qualified prospect, and then moving those over to the calendar for a sales coach to have a follow-up call with. And it really just depends on the level that someone is coming in at. I think the higher ticket offers, typically 2 or 3 calls to close those. Certainly some of the lower offers we can close on the first attempt. But it is definitely a process where as business traffic is coming in, it is definitely moving forward through a proven structured system, typically to a setter or to somebody. It might even be a hybrid salesperson. I really don't like the way the industry classifies people, because I think that a lot of closers just expect to show up and they're going to just have set appointments on their calendar each and every day. And really, a business can only do so much to deliver that. If you're unwilling to pick up the phone and initiate some outreach and take ownership of your role as a salesperson and the numbers that you're expected to hit to fill your calendar with qualified activity, then I just tell people perhaps this ain't the right place for you. We have a high level of expectations. And if somebody's just sitting back and just waiting for appointments to show up on the calendar, we can only do so much as a business, but you're not going to hit your sales goals. If you have 2 or 3 appointments a day, you should expect to have 4 to 6, but that additional traffic has to come from your efforts.
Yeah, 100%. It's so interesting because we teach a lot of our clients that as well. They have their own Facebook groups and they have their own communities on school, right? So the closers are expected to, in those intermediate times, go out there, find those opportunities, set your own appointments as well, and don't just expect that your calendar is going to be filled with inbound appointments, because that's often a misconception. And it's good practice, right? It does sharpen those skills up. No, that's phenomenal. So as far as like the vision goes for this year, what are some of your goals? What are you like laser focused on as you scale and really further grow Capital School?
I think there's really 2 or 3 things. I think one is to start doing our boot camp events in other countries. I think we have enough now of a global community where if we look very strategically at certain countries like Australia, perhaps England, we could host an event there, maybe with the help of some of the people that are already in our community to select a location and collaborate with other people to make sure that it's a worthwhile event and it's well attended. So number 1, I think, would be more outreach to the global audience with live events. I think 2, it's just also more collaborations, partnering with more people, doing really cool, amazing things together. And then 3, it's just continuing to grow and impact more people and continue to do what we're actually doing and really change more lives, because the testimonials that we receive from our community are really the convincing factor for a lot of people that are just on the sidelines, just vacillating and indecision. Should I do this? Should I do that? I had a bad experience with this other coach. I went there and it didn't work for me. And I tell people, look, what we do works. Like, we have testimonial after testimonial. So if you follow the proven blueprint and the system, yeah, you can raise tons of money. The bigger question, knowing that the system will work, is, you work. And unfortunately, most people don't want to put in the work. So,
Amen.
they hire coaching and then they don't show up, or they show up for the first few weeks and then they fall off the bus and they're unsuccessful. And what do? They blame the coach. Oh, Brad, your coaching program didn't work for me. It's interesting. Let me go ahead and log on to our platform and see if you've even logged on and what percentage of the videos and what percentage of the resources you've accessed. And I see they've only consumed maybe 10% of the content.
Mm.
And I do these weekly calls and I haven't seen you on any of those. So that's interesting as well. It's worked for all these other people. Let's be honest with ourselves. Look at the mirror and really ask yourself, have you put in the effort to
Mm.
really master this craft? And of course, I think that once they realize they haven't put forth the effort, they either change their habits, and then of course they have the success, or
Mm.
they just realize that they fell off the bus and they made a poor investment in themselves because they weren't willing to show up and actually put forth the effort.
Yeah, 100%.
That's an
So,
important message. I tell people, look, don't hire a coach or a mentor if
mm,
you're unwilling to show up and put forth the effort, because my job is not to be your friend. You're
yeah,
hiring me to be your coach. And so I will say things to you that you may not want to hear, but I'm saying them out of love because I want that transformation in your life. And I
mm,
want you to see the results of what you're trying to achieve here. So as a coach, I sometimes rough people up a little bit and I have that little tough conversation. They might not like what they're hearing, but in reality, that's what they need to hear.
yeah, 100%. No, I totally agree with you on that. Sometimes that direct approach is sometimes needed, especially with people who their backs are against the wall and sometimes they need that push. So, client success, retention, especially in the coaching and consulting space, it's one of the things where, you can get people into a program, but oftentimes they don't go fully through with that actual engagement process. So, how do you make sure that there's that stickiness as far as the engagement side goes? For you as like a founder, it's one thing we talk a lot about, which is also the challenges that you might be facing, right? Especially with your success, you've grown on such a global scale and you're going in that direction. What's like a bottleneck that you're seeing as a founder that you're looking to really solve, fix as you're looking at growth?
Yeah, there's always bottlenecks. I think one is just basically giving up control and delegating to others so that you have more freedom in life and really allow the business to take on a life of its own with managers and people in key positions. I think the other is just really finding and attracting really good quality people. It's really discouraging when you hire people and during the interview process, they're like, oh, yeah, I understand the role and I'm willing to do this and I'm willing to do that. And then they finally get in the seat and you don't see the effort and the initiative. And so that's obviously very challenging and frustrating because you spend a lot of time and a lot of money building a team. And then obviously you're not able to get what you want out of the team just because people aren't willing to put forth the effort. And then I think the other is really is just sometimes you make poor decisions. You hire agencies or you hire people that just turn out not to deliver what they claim they're capable of doing. And it is somewhat of a learning curve. But we're pretty loyal to the teams we work with. We've got great strategic partners. They've allowed us to grow and scale the business. And we're not really looking to make any changes, but we are looking here locally, more here in the Houston area, which is where we're based, to hire people to actually work out of our corporate office. I find it's really challenging to work with remote people. But if you have people actually under one roof, there's
Mm.
much greater accountability. And I think there's also a much greater spirit of teamwork because then you can celebrate the wins. You can ring the call bell that we have over here outside my office whenever there's a sale. And so, really, I think that part of building a successful company, once you do get to a certain level, is really then focusing more on the culture, where the
Yeah.
people that are there support and help each other and then carry each person on the team up to the next level. Because at the end of the day, a company is really only as successful as the people that work there.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the biggest thing, especially in the remote space and with sales, right? Because a lot of people are attracted to sales because of that remote culture, that ability to go in different parts of the world. But I love working in person. We have a lot of clients where their salespeople are in person, right? And there is like that culture that's being developed. You get to hear on the other side what's working best, what's not working best. And as like a leader and as like a boss, essentially, you're all eyes on, hey, is everyone doing what they need to do? Are they actually optimizing their time and being productive at the end of the day? So that's important.
Exactly. That's correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, love that. Now, as we do wrap up, any last words for the listeners tuning in? Some of them are entrepreneurs, founders looking to follow in your footsteps and start something like Capital School. What would you say before we do wrap up?
Yeah, the biggest message that I'll share with people is to just let them know that most everybody around you will try to discourage you or will try to tell you not to pursue your dreams or start that business or do what it is you want to be doing. And you'll buy into that and you'll listen to it and it will influence you and it will basically sway you one way or the other. And what you have to realize is don't take advice from people that have never done what you're trying to do. And number two, block out the noise because the people that care about you are really saying that to protect you. And there's always going to be risk in doing something and moving forward as an entrepreneur. And one of the crazy things is when I shared with my family that I wanted to start this big coaching and mentoring platform, one of my biggest naysayers was my own mother. So here's one of the biggest influences of my entire life telling me, don't do that. Don't you have to be licensed to be a coach? What do you know about changing people's lives and transforming? You're not a Tony Robbins. And I just said, Mom, I've got all this knowledge where I've raised literally hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. And I know with my books and working one-on-one with people that I can definitely do this. And now we're running a business that generates into the seven figures. And soon, hopefully, it'll be 8. And then we're starting other platforms as well that are also taking off and doing extremely well. And so it's really just number one, prove the naysayers wrong. But number two, it's just follow your path and really follow your vision and know why it is you want to be doing something. In the coaching and the change space, we always hear people talk about know your why,
Right.
know your purpose. And unfortunately, most people have no idea what that is. And if you can become really clear on that and focus on that, it will then carry the trajectory because there will be days and there will be weeks when you just want to give up. And you're like, why am I doing this? Oh my God, it ain't working out or I'm losing money. Just stay focused and stay true to yourself because it does have a compounding effect. One thing that really, I think, frustrates a lot of people is we live in a society today where we're so accustomed to instant gratification. Whip out the plastic, buy something. And so we're living in a society where we can pretty much get access to what we need fairly quickly. Success doesn't come quick. And it's the incremental effort over a long period of time that is going to compound, just like compound interest with money, to give you the incremental monumental results.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with fitness. I think that a lot of people that come up with New Year's resolutions to go to the gym and get fit, they fall off the bus after 2 or 3 weeks because they're not seeing visibly the results. It takes at least 3 months to see noticeable results if you're going to work out at the gym each and every day. And so when I see people that are pretty athletic, that have 6 packs or are well developed, I stop and I compliment them because I know the amount of effort it took to reach that level of fitness. Same thing in business. And so it's really just go along in the same direction. Invest in yourself, invest in coaches. We're here to help people that want to learn how to attract and raise capital so they can build, buy, or scale a business or just do something bigger at life, get a bigger seat at the big kids' table. Or if you're doing small deals, ascend to start doing bigger deals. But that's really for us what it's really all about. And that's what gets me and my team out of bed each and every day.
Love that. On that note, Brad, thank you so much for joining us today on Founders Future, sharing your incredible journey. And wishing you all the best going into the latter half of this year, especially as you scale and reach global heights now with the Capital School. To our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to, of course, subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And you can also check out Brad at bradblazar.com and follow him over on LinkedIn. We'll tag the profiles in the summary below. And for more resources and insights on how to scale and grow your business, visit us over at closers.io for more resources on world-class appointment setters, sales, and marketing systems. So until then, everyone, keep climbing, and we'll see you all on the next one.